Hello, I'm Jessica Jackson of the Thriving in Motherhood podcast, and today I am so excited to finally be able to tell you that the Thriving in Motherhood Planner for 2024 is available and ready to go. I have gotten so many emails and messages about if it was still coming out, and it is. It's ready. We've had a busy couple of months, so it's maybe a week or two later than normal, but it is here and ready to go. And in this week's episode, I am going to be sharing the story of the planner, a little bit of the system overview of why it works so well, and what makes it unique from other planners. And finally, what are the changes of this planner from all the previous years of planners? So thank you so much for joining me today. Let's go ahead and jump in.
Hi, I'm Jessica Jackson, and this is the new way to thrive in motherhood by leaning into who you are, what you love, your unique family situation and personal mission to create a life that you actually want to live. I want to invite you to join me in saying no to the life of the exhausted supermom, burnout, victim thinking, being pulled in so many directions, suffering through survival mode, or being lost in motherhood, and say yes to building strong families and moving forward on our greatest goals in order to create a fulfilling life that we are excited to wake up to each day and become a soaring mother. This is the Thriving in Motherhood podcast.
I want to just take a moment and let you know about something free that I've created just for you. It's the 5-step path from surviving to thriving checklist. It is a beautiful document that will help you figure out exactly where you are on that path from surviving to thriving and know what to focus on in each phase of that path so that you can feel that joy and confidence no matter what season of motherhood you are in. You can get it today at thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/checklist. When I became a mom back in 2013, I was so surprised at how hard it was for me to get anything done. And I mean, at first in that newborn haze, you're just like existing through the days, right? Like not even surviving, just existing. But then, you get going a little bit, perking up. And I thought, you know what? It is time for me to dust off the good old Franklin Covey 2 pages a day planner. I am tired of just kind of making it through. Let's add some structure and schedule and write some to-do lists and get things done. Well, I quickly found that it did not work the way that I hoped. My to-do list, I would write out for the day and have to keep scratching the things off or transferring them day to day to day because I couldn't get to the things I wanted to on my list. And so it was becoming very discouraging to have to write the same tasks over and over and over again. I would try and write down a schedule about when I would do things or when I wanted to do things, and it didn't work. My baby would take naps at the wrong times, or we'd want to go slower in one area than another. And I just couldn't figure out the pacing. And so it became exhausting and discouraging. And I quit altogether after, a few rounds of doing what used to work for me. And fast forward to 2 years later, and I now was the mom of a barely 2-year-old and a newborn. And I had gotten really, really sick when I was in the hospital delivering my son. I contracted something called C. diff. And 2 weeks later, I was back in the hospital fighting for my life, really struggling. And during that time, I just remember thinking I want to start living again. I want to really enjoy motherhood. I'm tired of existing through my days. I'm tired of feeling guilty when I'm sitting on the floor playing with my daughter because I'm not doing the dishes. And I'm tired of feeling guilty when I'm doing the dishes because I'm not playing on the floor with my daughter. And I'm tired of wandering in my house feeling bored and not sure what to do with myself. And I'm just ready to embrace it. 2 kids in, I'm committed. This is not changing. I need to figure this out. Now, during this time of those first few years, I was learning so much about goal setting and productivity and time management and how businesses work and function and their systems for getting things done, and starting to tailor that and figure out how those ideas would apply to motherhood. I was also being very observant and reading so many books about motherhood and moms and families and trying to figure out and homeschooling and trying to figure out what kind of family culture do we want to have? What kind of life do I want to create for our family? And so I had lots of ideas, but I wasn't sure how to turn those ideas into a plan and how to move forward on that. And so when I was recovering, it was about a 4 or 5 month process to recover from not only having a baby and having this newborn and a 2-year-old that I'm taking care of, but then also recovering from this very intense illness that I had. I would spend all of those spare moments in bed researching every single planner that was out there and trying to feel okay, I've got this idea. Where would that go? And I want this part of the system. Where would that go? And after weeks and weeks of researching, I was there is nothing out there that has a spot that works for moms, that's flexible, but also intentional, and that has a spot for all of my thoughts. And so I decided to just create my own. So I bought one of those dotted bullet journaling notebooks, and created a weekly spread. And in that first year, I was changing things up quite frequently. By the second year, I was starting to stabilize and refine my system. And by the third year, I found that I didn't have to change it anymore at all. And so that was really exciting to me because I went from feeling all of that mom guilt to now feeling incredibly excited and confident about how I was spending my time, how I was spending my energy, what I was doing during the day, seeing energy, like momentum build on the projects and things I wanted to work towards. And I had so much clarity about the type of life that I wanted and all of those little steps that I was doing to create it. And so I ended up showing the planner to some friends just casually, and they wanted it. And I had a friend that was a designer that was like, not only do I want it, but I can make it. Can we print it? And I was like, yes, because I'm tired of writing it out after 3 years. And so that is how we got the Thriving in Motherhood Planner. It's been being sold since I think 2018 now, which is incredible and mind-blowing and very exciting. And so now I want to share with you kind of that 30,000 foot overview, or what are the pieces of this planner that I've pulled from a gazillion different sources and structured and designed for life as a mom. So the very first thing is that we don't want to just get more things done as a mom. Like, I want to help you get things done, but I want you to get the right things done. And it's not some list that you're going to find on Pinterest or Googling, about what are the right things to do as a mom or how do you manage everything. No, this is something that's going to come that's unique to you, to your personal mission, to the things that are important to you, to the things that are important to your husband, to the type of family dynamics that you have, the children that you have, what kind of life you want, like, what do you want to spend your time doing? Do you want to be homeschooling, or do you want your kids in public school? Or, it's going to be so unique to each one of us. Do you work outside of the home? Do you work inside the home? Do you have a business? Do you do community service? Do you like, doing crafts? It's going to be so unique. And so we start by creating a vision. We start by creating this idea of the type of life we want to create. And there's a lot of ways to approach this. You can just start by writing it out on a piece of paper. But in the Thriving Motherhood Planner, I ask lots of questions that you can dive deep to and just like coach yourself through. Actually, I coach you in the mini course that comes with the planner through this entire section to try and help you identify what really matters, not necessarily always and forever, but like right now. And right now. What matters right now to you this year that you want to focus on? Because we can't do everything, but we can commit to a few things and move those things forward. That's the first part. The second thing that I had to learn was to plan my weeks and not my days. So that was that mistake that I made back when I started trying to plan again, those 2 pages a day, was trying to plan my days because it wasn't flexible enough. And that's where I was writing things over and over again. And so what I learned how to do was instead is structuring things I want to do for that week and writing things down, because I could get a ton of stuff done in a week. I could complete everything on my to-do list in a week when I had it structured correctly. The next thing that we added into this planning system was a weekly big 3. So in business, a big 3 for the week is your things that move the needle forward financially. So things that are going to make you money, revenue generating activities. In motherhood, we want to make sure that one of those tasks is from your vision. So that you're moving something through your week every week as part of your vision. And so for me, what that looks like is one of my big 3 this week is planning for my daughter's 10th birthday. One is this vision challenge. Okay, that's part of my vision, or this planner launch, getting this out to you guys. And the final one is homeschooling, because that takes a good chunk of my time and energy every single week that we're doing it. And so my big 3 is something for, my family, actually 2 things for my family and 1 thing for beyond, from my vision. But it changes week to week. But the cool thing is that as you have something every single week, as well as a realistic view of what's happening week to week, you can start not overload yourself with more than you can manage, and 2, make incredible progress week after week as the baby steps add up. One of the major challenges that we have in motherhood is that fighting this idea that all we do is, because the reality is that it feels like our days are the same every day, right? Like, and society tells us this. There's all these jokes on social media about this. Like, it's like Groundhog's Day. You do the same thing day after day after day. You're just always washing dishes and putting kids down for naps and changing diapers and running errands and taking kids to places. Like, it's just the same every day. And the reality is that just leads to this like never ending treadmill of discouragement and burnout, flatlining. It's exhausting, right? And when I found myself getting caught in this all I do is trap, something that really made a big difference was this exercise that I heard about in a podcast from, I think, someone that was coaching Oprah Winfrey, and goes to work with highly successful people that are struggling and feeling discouraged. And the exercise that they gave them was to sit down and make a list of all the things that you did and accomplished and experienced and learned and read in the last 30 days to see reality, to see what is actually happening in your life. And so once I started doing that, I would start the exercise, still do, feeling like really discouraged, the exhausted, the burned out, all I do is. And by the time I end writing down all the things that I learned, discovered, accomplished, went with my family, major family milestones, books that I read, podcasts I listened to, courses I took, I feel amazing. And that starts bringing in some excitement and some energy and momentum. And it gets me excited about planning the next month and making progress and moving forward. And so every month that is built into this system so that you have that default energy boost, right? And that default breaking of that lie of all I do is, and instead seeing who you truly are as far and what you really are spending your time doing. And it feels so good. And if you're sitting down writing things out and you're like, wow, I don't have anything to write down, and you feel crummy, you might see where you want to work on filling holes for the next 30 days and make some adjustments there. We then every 90 days have quarterly reviews built in, because if you wrote your vision at the beginning of the year, you don't know what it's going to look like. Life is going to look like 6 months from now. You don't know who's going to be crawling or walking or how they're going to be talking or what developmental growth someone will have or if you're going to be pregnant. Like, life just goes and changes constantly as a mom with young children at home. And so what we do every 90 days is take a pause and look back at our vision and say, what's still working? What's not working? What do we need to change? What do we need to improve on? What's new? What do I care about now? And we create goals from that space. We create, a focus on what projects you want to work on what habits you want to create, on what systems you need to build in your family or for yourself, so that you can keep just getting clear on that vision. And just every 90 days, it gets a little bit more clear, a little more, baby steps forward, and just to keep taking steps so you don't forget it, right? I don't want you to create a list of New Year's resolutions and never look at them again. We want to make this part of us. So if you are like me, you maybe try writing like a really long to-do list of all the things you've got in your mind. You do a brain dump and it just keeps getting longer and longer and longer, and you add to it as things come up and you can't cross things up fast enough, and it just feels so discouraging. Not to mention when you have a moment to get something done, right? Like the kids are playing quiet. You're like, great, I'm going to look at my list. What can I do? And by the time you've like gone up and down the list a ton of times and picked the thing that you actually feel like doing at that moment, moments passed and you've moved on. And so what we do to solve that problem is an idea I got from April Perry, and I think she got it from like Julie Morgenstern, written maybe in the 90s, of context-based to-do lists. So this idea is that instead of having this big long list, we now break it up into where are you? So there's a list for when you're at home, one for when you want to make phone calls, one for running errands, one for things you want to discuss with people to move them forward, and one for like computer work. And then there's a bonus one space in there to customize to whatever works for your particular life as well. But what we do with that is then during that week, you write one list for the week and you break them up in that context. And then when people want to get out of the house, you go run your errands. When everyone's playing quietly, you can sit down and make those phone calls. Or when you want to be around in the space, but everyone's like kind of engaged but want to be with you, you look at your home list and start puttering away on that. During quiet time, you want to knock out your computer work. So it's just a way to batch your tasks and get things done really efficiently. And you can make loads of progress in small pockets of time when you set things up this way. Now, the changes for the planner, I am so excited to share with you because I keep learning things. I keep taking courses. I keep doing coaching. I keep interacting with you guys and working with you and taking your feedback in, and wanting to make it better and better every year to help you create that life that you want to live, just that much more efficiently. And so here we go. First of all, color's blue. I'm so excited. I think it's just a fun color. We've updated the logo. You're going to start seeing that change everywhere. I feel like it's just a little friendlier looking, so I'm excited about that. Big change here is tabs go all the way to the edge of the page. So if you've gotten the planner previously, you know that there was like a gap in the margin, and that's because the page sizes were built differently than the page that we printed them in. And so my husband pulled 2 all-nighters, bless Andrew's heart, and redesigned all of the planner from the ground up so that we could have it go to the edge this way, which also means all of the pages have slightly bigger boxes. There's just a little bit more room for writing on all of the spreads, which is very exciting. Another great, awesome change, we've added page numbers along the bottom edge of the planner, which means I am so excited because we now have, for all those think and process pages, I've gotten feedback from you like, oh, I wish you could add a budgeting one or a meal planning one or meal prepping, right? And everyone uses these for so many things, for writing out shopping lists or doing project designs in your home or writing lists of your kids' clothing sizes, right? Like the list is endless of what you use this for. Some of you write gratitude lists in there. But the ones that you want to hold on, remember to refer back to, like a budget, for example, you can now put in this index page. So it's just makes it that much easier to use the planner. And I am thrilled to be using this myself. Now, the next little change here is the Create Your Vision section. So Danielle, who works with me on the Thriving in Motherhood team, she took all of my changes. I spent all of July reading and with a fine-tooth comb and rewriting the entire Create Your Vision section. Now, there's a lot of things that are still in here that you guys like that are effective, but there's a lot of new things as well that I've added in and just rewrote completely that I'm so excited about. For example, who do I want to be? Establishing my foundation is completely updated. I am so excited. We've added in the risk list that I talked about in the podcast earlier this year, because I feel like for those of you that really struggle, like coming up with a vision or ideas or dreaming, this is a very effective exercise. It works so well for those of you that struggle with that. And I just think it's fun. Building a strong family. I am thrilled about the questions in here. They are so powerful, and I feel like life-changing in helping us get clarity about what matters. And then because part of our visions for most of us includes some level of home management, there's now a brand new home management check-in that is very effective in helping identify what you need to work on next. And these are all the same principles that we talk about in like the Simplify to Soar Club and Made to Soar Next 90 Days. So those of you that are in that program or considering that, it becomes more of a collaborative workbook experience. So more of those exercises and things we do in there are now in the planner and vice versa. So another one, the next change that I am so excited about is at the start of every quarter. So you've got your quarter one page. We have now added the weekly rhythms section here so that every 90 days you can write down what is going on for your family every single week. And the reason why I do it once a quarter is because that's about how long it takes for, the seasons are changing, kids are doing different activities, the sun, when the sun rises and sets is different, the types of food you want to eat is different, the type of activities you want to do is different. And so it allows you to write down kind of those weekly rhythms. Now, this is an exercise that I teach in the Next 90 Days program. I've been doing it for years. I normally just do it on a scrap piece of paper. We created a loose, PDF you could print out for that program. And now we've put it here into the planner because that way you have an easy way to refer back to it. And you have this kind of ideal week template to refer back to as you're planning out your weeks. So you don't have to think. Again, it's building in some of that automation that we talk about in the systems pillar of the 3 pillars of thriving. Again, all part of that Next 90 Days program. But this way you can just write things down and automate it and refer back to it as you're doing your weekly planning. And so for those of you that are ready to start, again, this is one of the last steps. I teach this in the Simplify to Soar Club, but one of the last steps is writing down your cleaning system for the week, right? But you could do that here, or what meals you want to cook, or when you want to feed your sourdough starter, or when you want to wash your hair. Okay, all of these things can be added into here. And then we also have a really great section here called puzzle pieces for those things that you want to do every week, but they don't happen at the exact same time. But you want to make sure that you talk about them with your spouse every week so they get on the calendar. Maybe when you do a date changes, or maybe when you have work time for yourself changes, or maybe, whatever it might be. There's certain big essential things we do every week that maybe don't have a special time, but this way you won't forget to get them scheduled in based on what's happening that week. And again, I dive deep into all of this in the Made to Soar Next 90 Days program that I would love to help you out with this year. So that is, I think, a good overview of the planner. And I am so excited to get them into your hands. It's available right now. You can click below on the website or on the YouTube video or wherever you're listening to this and get the link. We've got some special offers along with the planner this year. You get access to the Create Your Vision mini course that is completely new. I just refilmed it to match the new updated section. So that's brand new this year. And I've got some other resources just to help you kind of get quick started, guided into it, and you can start listening and learning even before the planner's in your hands, so you can start applying it. And for those of you that do not currently use the 2023 Thriving in Motherhood Planner, I have a special bonus. I don't know anybody else that does this with their planners, but you can print out the last 3 months, October, November, and December of this year, so that if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I get it, I'm on fire, I want to use it, you can start right now. Like as soon as you buy the planner, you can print those pages out just for yourself and start using them while you wait for your new planner to come and for January to arrive. So I believe so much that this can change your life, that it can help you get clarity about what matters to you and about what brings you joy. It can help you and meet you in any season of motherhood. These are the same steps I use when I'm survival mode. This is the same system I use when I have a million things going on. It scales and matches and meets you right where you're at, and it will help serve different purposes in those seasons, but it will help you get through those seasons as gracefully as you possibly can. And so I have been using it for, this system since 2016. And what's so fun is that I see year after year after year how that momentum and doing these small little habits in this planning has helped me grow and change and evolve and build my capacity and change my surroundings and change our family culture and continue to grow and expand and improve in so many ways. And for me, it's a process connected with God, and He guides and fuels all of this for me. It's little bits of baby steps of revelation and how I build that into here, but it creates that life of soaring that we talk about. And if you've never heard of soaring before, becoming a soaring mother, when I talk about the Made to Soar program, S stands for serve, that you're able to use your gifts and talents to serve those around you and your circle of influence, and that over time that circle of influence gets bigger as we do that. O stands for obedience. For me, that means that I'm connected with God, that it's a beautiful thing, that I'm able to receive revelation from Him and act on it and feel like I have the capacity and the ability to do that. A is for adventure, that I'm able to enjoy life as an adventure, to be able to have great experiences with my family and my kids, whether that's just reading a good book together on the couch or getting out and doing cool things. And R is for relationships, that I'm able to have the emotional bandwidth to enjoy meaningful relationships and to be intentional about them and to cultivate them. And to me, that is soaring. That is what we want to create. When I say create a life I love, that's the byproduct, is becoming that soaring mother. And it takes time. And it takes some elbow grease and it takes some work. And I would love to help you with that in the Made to Soar Next 90 Days program, or our Soaring Mother Society, actually, where you've got accountability and people that work together with you on this. It is powerful. We've been going for 3 years strong now, about to start year 4. And the women that have been in there for years, their lives are totally different. They have grown and they've changed. And even though they've had ups and downs in their personal circumstances, it has been an upward slope of growth. And we just met and we're just marveling at how much good has come from practicing these principles month after month after month through all of the things, the hard things, the good things, and how everyone has grown and changed through it all. So on that note, I hope you have a wonderful week. I'm excited to get your 2024 Thriving in Motherhood Planner shipped to you, and I will talk to you next week. Today, I'm excited to share with you about the Made to Soar Next 90 Days program. It is a self-paced online course with lots of interaction from me that has transformed the lives of women from all around the world as they have learned to build unique family systems that support them in their own unique life circumstances, that allow the necessary and essential things of life to get done and leave time and energy to do what matters most to them. I'm going to let some women who have been through the program tell you a little bit more about their experience now.
Just mucking through the day was just survival. And then I was like, the thought of trying to do anything extra was like, well, that's just never gonna happen.
I think it was Made to Soar. I don't know. I was probably hoping that it'd be the magic bullet for morning.
I mean, we had no systems in our house. I mean, we had no morning, we had no routines. Like we were.
How can I infuse meaning into my life? And even if I do the same thing, how can I think about it differently so that I'm feeling fulfilled?
And so that was my goal in joining the Next 90 Days, was to figure out how to kind of handle all of these different domains. How do I become intentional with all of these things and make sure that I'm meeting my own expectations?
Now I have systems set in place that, like, things like the laundry, just automatic things get done.
Because I was able to have the foundation of some of these systems and routines, when things got crazy, I could still go back to those and be like, okay, well, at least the laundry got done. At least my kids got fed. At least I read the Bible and did my workout today.
So it helped me go through a couple big moves and big changes and to keep some level of stability for the family.
Figuring out how do I homeschool? How do I do it with consistency and some level of discipline? And then how do I build a business and still find meaningful work outside of my home? All of that, I wouldn't have known how to organize it. It was all kind of just like spaghetti in my brain.
With Made to Soar, just gaining clarity about what I wanted my days and weeks to look like, my hours and my spare minutes.
This is how we get to where we want to go, and just changing those expectations has helped me be happier.
I have power to change my circumstances, right? That I can put in new routines. I can solve some of these problems. I can think about things differently and realize that I have power to be in a better place.
Where you are planted, watch the blossoms grow.